Hey guys, the screen is black. It's gonna lighten up. It's gonna lighten up the screen. Hey, see there go. Good boy, Lavender. Good boy, good boy. Hey, good morning, good morning. Good morning. This is Spirit. Today, I think it's Thursday. Not sure. Well, today is March 6th, 2025, and the time is it's close to 15 after 5 in the morning. It's beautiful out here. Beautiful, beautiful. Let me show you Lavi. Hey, say hello. Hi, big boy. Oh, don't be camera shy. Hi. Hi. Yeah, it's nice out. Just have my shawl. It is beautiful. Yeah, I woke up early this morning. Hey, good morning. Good morning. How you doing, viewer? Peace of things be on to you. Yeah. So I'm going to do a live stream. I have an interesting topic. Yeah. You don't stop being who you are, who you are, who you are. You don't stop being who you are, who you are, who you are. Yeah. People, you don't stop being who you are, no matter where you go. Me in Rwanda, I don't stop being who I am. That's what I want to talk about. Just my experiences about identity, heritage, and all that, under a political system. That's what I want to talk about. Move over. Okay. Well, just trying to get myself situated here. Well, I want to talk about, again, I'm not to judge. I never met this individual. But I want to talk about experiences with people since I would say junior school. I entered junior high school in 1974 in America, in New York City, the county of Queens. Yes, I did. And but even before that, I did have experiences with other races. I think early growing up was a strong white and black exposure. Come from a black family of Caribbean background. My grandparents came to America about 100 years ago. Good morning. Hey. Hello.
Hello, mommy.
Morning, morning, morning. Hey. Little baby. It's a call. Nature call. Just put this on the side. boy. Good boy. It's a good boy. Okay. Sorry. When nature calls. When nature calls. Okay. So let me get back to what I was saying. Good boy, Lavender. So, but I would say my, I was born and raised in New York City, Queens, and we lived in an apartment. Oh, you got to go again. Nature called. Good boy. Good boy. Good boy. That's a good boy. That's a good boy, Lavender. Sorry. That was a good boy. When you gotta go, you gotta go. Okay. So I was exposed to different groups early, but I would say okay, in Queens, we lived in Fargaway up to I was approaching 5 years of age, and this was in the early 1960s, and had come on, no, come. New York City, things were socially segregated, but you did have like what you call white flight. You had neighborhoods that started out white, and then migration. You had influx of blacks and West Indians, and so that was like what I was exposed to. So when we moved from Far Rockaway, what they call the projects, back then in the early '60s, the projects wasn't what we know it today. It was public housing, affordable housing based on your income. And they have all different sizes according to the size of your family. And we had white people living there. I remember seeing some people. I remember one person, but yeah, you had white people there. And then moved to Hollis, Queens. Our next door neighbor was an elderly white woman. She was very nice. And then the other two houses next to her were also white people. So, so they were there. But I would say real exposure to different people, I mean, real deep, was when I moved to junior high school. It was in a neighborhood that surrounded many neighborhoods. And you had everything. You had everything, every imaginable race, nationality. Yeah. And one person in particular, in the seventh grade, yeah, junior high school for me started in the seventh grade. Some people call it middle school, but when I grew up, it was called junior high school. And move up here. Sorry. So the person that I sat next to, she was an Indian. She was actually the first Indian that I knew of. But actually, now I didn't know them, this other family, but in talking to my mom, my mom used to talk about her childhood a little bit, just a little bit. And her parents were immigrants, and they came to America around 1923, 1924. And the house, at least The house for the first 10 years of our mom's life was a house that was, not a house, an apartment. It was an apartment. And they lived in an apartment of people from India. Well, excuse me, let me rephrase that. People of Indian ancestry, but they were born in the Caribbean. There are many people of Indian ancestry who live in the Caribbean. And my mother's parents rented from them. So they paid that family to live there. They rented a room. And that's how they, the Indian family helped supplement their income. I don't know what they did for a living. But they had to be close enough because a family member, morning, they became the godparents. So there had to be something close to be a godparent of my mom's children. Yeah. So there's a relationship, close relationship, and respect back then. So it was respect. Also, it also turned out that how they got to America. People, did you know? See, it's really good to talk to your parents or grandparents because you get a lot of scoop that history books don't tell you. But did you know? Move over. Good. Good boy. Sometimes I move over when a big truck comes. Okay. Yeah. But did you know that back in the day, there were quotas and restrictions on according to your race / nationality. And surprisingly, I think, see, all this is going to connect as the story goes. But back then in the 1920s, when my Caribbean ancestors were coming to America, to New York, Ellis Island, they came in on Ellis Island. People from Asia were not allowed in America. I'll repeat, people from India, China, places like that, they were not allowed in America. So you ask me, hey, Spirit, well, if they're not allowed to come, so how did that Indian family that your grandparents are renting from, how did they get in? Morning. How did they get in? Well, they, or at least some from their, of them, say, don't know whether it's all of them, but at least one of them who lived in the Caribbean, and for them to get in. So even though he's Caribbean and the U.S. allowed Caribbean, so-called black people from the Caribbean, there was no restrictions on them. You're from Jamaica, Martinique, so you were allowed in. There were no restrictions. And they came in with the droves. A lot of Caribbean people came in. No restrictions on them. But if you look Indian, if you are of Indian heritage, even though maybe your nationality, because you might be born there in the West Indies, and the colonies, they're still under colonial rule. So whether it be from France, Britain, Holland, things you'll get their passport. That's what would be your nationality. That's your passport. But that wasn't enough. Again, I don't know definitively whether they were physically born there, but they could have been. Either way, even though they were coming in through the Caribbean to America, they weren't allowed. So, to get entry, the individual, I think it was a man, lies and says he's a black man. He's a black man. And they allowed him in. Same man. You're from the same place. And you just change your identity. And he was to come in and live the American dream. Yeah, they did. The family did okay. So I just thought that was interesting. What heritage is, what history, I meant to say what history had done to certain people. And no, I'm not Indian. I don't have a drop of Indian blood. I had my DNA done. But I would like to, if I remember, I'd like to share you a story about uh, reincarnation. And in India, that part of the world, they do believe in reincarnation, things like that. And I do want to share you that a little later on in this conversation. Sorry, the light is getting darker here. We'll lighten up. So, let's see. Oh, I'll turn my hand. The light is a bit on the other side. Let me just change. Okay, that's better. Yeah, just like that. The light is shining this side. So, but isn't that something? In American history, Indians and Chinese weren't allowed during that time. But I think in the 1970s, things changed. Yeah, and that's when I met the girl, Indian girl in high school. So for me, from at least my memory, she's the first Indian person I met. Okay. And I didn't know about India, or I didn't know geography. I didn't know about other groups. I knew that there were white people in the world and black people in the world. I didn't really know about anything else. So I was all excited. I remember when I came home from school that day, I said, Mommy, Mommy, I met a girl and her name is, I was so excited because it was just novelty for me. Good morning, ladies. So, yeah, I'll give the last name. Her last name was Patel. Does that name sound familiar to you people in America? Anybody in America who's listening to this? Come on. Yeah. And so, yeah, she was she was a little older than me, very petite, very, very precocious, because it's going to get dark again. very, very alert, very, very competitive. She was highly competitive regarding academics. I wasn't. I was. I was the complete opposite. I'm being honest, people. Yeah, this is a journey for me too. I do believe education is important, but I was not driven. Being honest, she was. Boy, she want me to test her with the vocabulary and spelling words. Really. So, what's that mean? What's it? Give me another word. Give me another word. Highly competitive. She also was a storyteller. She was. But I remember her drive and driven. Boy, she was something. Okay, I've never met that like that. That tenacity. She was tenacious. Very naive culturally regarding America. Yeah, she was very Indian. She had a very heavy Indian accent. Okay, it's going to get lighter now. Yeah. So I always remembered her. I have her full name. Well, first and last name. But she was a Patel. And I remember graduation, she wore a sari. I didn't know what, yeah, I know now it was a sari that she wore. It's beautiful, yeah. She never wore Indian clothes to school. She wore, Western clothes. But for graduation, she wore her sari. Yeah, I said, oh, wow. Yeah, I saw her parents. Okay. She's brown. She's about my color. Very petite, I remember. Very, very petite, very, very tiny. Very short and very thin. So, why mention this story? Okay. Well, many years later, I met another Patel. I used to do security guard work for a client, and it was a very large bank. And I was on my rounds, and I saw the last name Patel. And I only knew that one Patel growing up from junior high school. And I was wondering, hey, I wonder, are they related? This was 20 something years ago. So I asked the man, he was sitting at a desk as some type of manager. I said, excuse me, sir. I said, see, this is, your last name is Patel? Because he had the name tag, the name on the door, on the entry. Like some business, they put the person's last name by their office, so you know whose office it belongs to. So he said, yes. And I said, excuse me, but are you related to, and I gave the lady's name, from childhood, from school. He says, no, I'm not related to that person. I don't know that person. I said, okay. I was just curious because your last name is Patel, and I knew a Patel growing up from school. We were students together. He says, well, the Patel family, it's a big family. It's like the Smith family. It's a big, very common name in India. I said, oh, okay. Thank you so much. I'm sorry to interrupt you. And left. Yeah, he's from India. And then now, fast forward, we have a new, I think it's the director now. He was sworn in, was that a month ago? Cash Patel. He is now the head of I think the FBI or something like that. Something like that. And the first Asian, first person of color to be in that position. He's a lot of firsts. But backing up just a little bit to that about Cash Patel, I was watching a program once, recently, and it was before any of us knew about Cash Patel in American government now. But they talked about the Patel family of India. And it's not just, there are a lot of people. It's over 1 billion people in India, billion with a B. It's a big nation. India's humongous and extremely old society. They have what they call a caste system. Think of it as a type of racism. It's a label, and it divides labels according to, the religious class. You have the merchant class. You have the, different. Then you have the people on the bottom, the people who clean the toilets, type of thing. And you stay in that. You cannot move from one boundary to another, so to speak, social boundaries. You're there, you're born in it and you die in it. Okay, and it's been like that for thousands of years in India. So it's very reminiscent to the racial classification in the Americas under the colonial days and slavery in the Americas. Similar. You can't really change in it, but you're born into it. But you can move socially in America. Either way. So the program talked about. Okay, I'm just moving. Okay, that's a bird. Okay, I hope the bird is okay. Okay. Yeah, I'm sorry, I got distracted there. There's a bird on this street. It was okay. I guess it was just resting. Um, oh, as I said, in India. So you you're born in a system. Um, so Cash Patel. Yeah, the program. Yeah. So I was watching the program, and they talked about the Patel family is a very prominent, well-established family in India. They are well connected. Okay. So it explained about the girl that I met in junior high school. Very progressive, very tenacious. She won. She was highly competitive. She is Indian, and in India, the status of women to men are very divided socially. But either way, she was something. Never met anyone like her still. But the Patel family is very established. Playing. So I'm not going to compete with that. Yeah, I'm sorry, but they're connected. And he explains it. So, so it's explaining about this family, the many of them, big family, big name. So I was watching some videos yesterday about Cash Patel. He was elected into this high position. I think it was the FBI or something. But he was working for the government under Obama. I think he said. I think he said Obama. I could be wrong, but either he said Obama or Biden. So I apologize if I made an error, but one of the two, and he was under it for 4 years. And he's a lawyer. He has Barajo. He has a very sharp mind. This Patel, yeah, that same sharp mind. Very intelligent. And he was being interviewed in this other. Well, I heard him talk when he was being interviewed for his position, his current position. They were ruthless. They were very harsh with him. I was very, well, I want to be honest about my feelings. I did not, again, it could be just my weakness, my own insecurities. But I didn't feel comfortable. And I've said in my video before that I'm suspicious about some of the people that are positioned around Trump. Very. That's just how I feel. But I did listen to his interview. It seemed more like an interrogation. And I said, wow, this guy's really sharp. This is a sharp dude. How he answered, how he answered the questions. He's a smart dude. And I feel, hey, if you can answer the questions how you did under fire, you deserve that position, you know? Just being honest. Yeah, he was clever. See, he's a lawyer. And so he knows his rights. He knows not to incriminate himself. But you do want someone who's savvy. I'm not saying you want a liar, and I'm not saying he's lied, but he knows as a lawyer, do not incriminate yourself, right? Like you have the right to be silent when when you're being arrested, right? And not to say things will incriminate you, because, and even the cops, when the cop is arresting you, they read you your Miranda rights, and they tell you, you have the right to be, to be silent and to have your lawyer with you. Blah blah blah, right? So he knows better. He's been a lawyer for some time now, and give credit where credit's due. You're an intelligent man. You, give him that credit. But I was concerned, like, concerned about, he was doing an interview with this man, and the guy liked him and gave him softball questions, which is fine. You don't have to interrogate people. You like them, right? And you're in them. Be the first Indian in this position. So the person as a reporter wants to, it's history, interview him, right? So I asked about his family, his background. And he said that his parents were born, at least one was Uganda, that's in Africa, like northeast, like in northeast Africa. It's right above Rwanda, actually. Uganda is right above Rwanda, where I live now. And I think said someone else was in another location in Africa. Yeah, both his parents born in Africa, but they are of Indian ancestry. So both sides of his family are Indian. But when he said, okay, they mentioned that during the Idi Amin regime, Indians were being expelled in Uganda. Uganda was a colony of Britain. And it's a game that the British government play. Now, I've met people from Britain, and I like them personally. So it's not against the people, the everyday people. I like the British people that I've met. But the government, people who make the policies and stuff like that, historically, they play the same game. So, and I don't like the games they play. So what happened in Uganda? Uganda was a British colony, and when there was a shift in, I guess, how they're going to handle the colonial period, they brought other workers. I guess maybe the type of work, like the exploitation of the African there. There was, I guess, changing hands. Like, I think the whites from Britain and other parts of Europe, when it was a shift, they knew they were going to be leaving, but they wanted to put in somebody else in place of them. That's going to be a thorn in their thigh, the local people. And so they brought Indians. There's a lot of people in there. There's over 1 billion people in India, over a billion, B as in boy, in India. They are plenty. So they brought many of them to India to as laborers. But I think also they were also merchants. Remember, in the 1990s, I met someone. I had a coworker. She invited me to go to cafe, like a bar restaurant, and there were going to be other people there. And she was friends with this girl. I forget it was one or two girls, but they were from Uganda. They were of Indian ancestry. They were of Indian ancestry, but living in Africa. And they had to leave Uganda because of the regime change. They're merchants. Yes, they were they're also merchants. And they're happy. They have a network. And yeah, they left. They left America, that family, and they moved to America. So as with Patel's family, who are of Indian ancestry, one living in Uganda, they had to leave because things were getting rough for Indians. So what was happening? Britain used Indians to undermine the local population, to cause strife. There was strife. The Indians were doing better financially. They were set up. So you stop being who you are. You don't stop being who you are, who you are, who you are. Yeah, you don't stop being who you are, people, no matter where you go in life. So yes, they're far away. And so whatever what they are socially in India, they're that way socially in the country that they move in. And they have a strong network. They don't stop being who they are. Their identity doesn't change. They remain Indian culturally. They're smart enough. Good morning. Hey. So they so you bring yourself wherever you go. So whether they left India and then Uganda and then Canada, yeah, with Kash Patel, when they escaped to Canada and then from Canada to America. He did not explain though. Like the interviewer said, oh, why did they come to America? Or what led them to come to America? Something like that. So he didn't actually say why. He did not say why he left Canada. Canada is very stable. So from Uganda, they moved to
You
Canada.
walked 1 mile.
It's a great place. I mean, it's very modern. So they don't say why they left Canada. And interesting, the former vice president, Kamala, her parents also went, well, her mother, she also goes to Canada. See, people? Interconnection. There's interconnection. Always familiar. So you're going to see things keep repeating itself. You're going to hear names, places, and somehow you keep on, the morning. You're going to keep on hearing the same place, the same name. So what's happening, people? Because it's a strong network. And again, there's nothing wrong having a strong network. There's nothing wrong being Asian or Indian or any race or nationality or religion. You are you. No matter where you are, who you are. And you bring your heritage, and you bring your social class with you. Yeah, so Cash Patel's family, after Canada, moved to the US, and they assimilated, and it did very well. Okay. But, so Cash Patel also added to the interviewer that they were so poor. They were so poor. And I'm thinking, based on my experiences with Patel and with Indians, I started going, yeah, right. Again, I never seen his bank book, his parents' bank book. I never met them. Don't know any. I don't even know their name. You know, I don't know them personally. But you don't change who you are. Whether you move a mile away or whether you move halfway around the world. When you move your heritage, you move your resources, and you move your connections. And so Patel told the interviewer, oh, they were so poor. So if they're so poor, how do they get money? You need money, people. You need money. And you bring your family. You need money to relocate. You need a place to live. It costs money. You can't do anything without it. Just like I came down here to Rwanda. You better have some money in your pocket. You need money to get a place to live, for food, medical if you need medical. If you want to go to school, you need money. Manaho, you need money. So I was confused about how he can say how poor his family was. Now, I feel that this is the narrative that they want you to believe. Morning, morning. Now again, I never met him. I never spoke to his family, but he is a Patel. And there's a documentary on Patels on YouTube. It doesn't mean that Patel is this specific, but they have that same name. An India network. It's an extremely old culture. And people know one another. So even though they go and move to America or move to Canada or move to Uganda or move to South Africa or move to Canada, move to the Caribbean, they bring their network with them and opportunities. Many people of Indian ancestry left Uganda. Yeah, they were getting persecuted. And I think they were ordered out on top of it. Oh yeah, they had to leave. Uganda was fed up that Uganda, the Idi Amin, he was the leader then. He was, they say, a dictator, and he didn't like what was happening to the native people of Uganda. So he took action, and he wanted to save the wealth of the people there. But and Britain seems to do that. Britain has the art of doing things like that. Like when they leave a colony, they always put in another group. They did the same thing in the Caribbean. Oh, you bet. Trinidad, big time. The people from India living in Trinidad are doing very well. And the network, and they network in India, and they network in Trinidad, they network in Guyana. They don't stop being who they are. Okay? They're smart. And they work collectively. And nothing's wrong with that. So, okay, we're going to make a turn here. Okay, let's be careful. Come, come. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, come, come, baby. Come. So, so it was hard for me to swallow that Patel said his family was so poor. He's just so poor. I mean, maybe they didn't have a lot of cash, you know, but poor. Like now there are a lot of poor people in Rwanda. Poor. Okay. What makes someone poor? Resources. Resources. Okay, well, what if he only had a penny in his pocket? But resources more than just cash. See, even the guy was saying, yeah, yeah. Resources more than just cash alone. It's what you bring with yourself. Education. People from India, of the Patel family, highly educated. So even if they move to a new location, they still have they know how to read. They can balance a book, right? They got it up here. Okay. They have a network and a family, and they're closely tied. And again, the Indian culture is thousands of years old. You don't stop being who you are, who you are, who you are. Yeah? You don't stop being who you are, even when you move. So I just felt it hard to swallow about him being poor and coming to America and then just start off with the type of work. I wouldn't doubt when they, because so many Indians left Uganda and South Africa. They move collectively. And when they move into a community. Community. You move into a community and they network together. So, and I used to live in the Caribbean also. Yeah, I kind of move a bit. The last landlord I had, I rented like the lower level of this Indian family's house. It's a two-family house. He had like an acre of land, very nice. It was in St. Thomas. And they're from India or, India or Pakistan. His last name, he didn't have a Hindu last name. I'm not going to give the name, give that privacy. It's over 30 years ago. And he came to St. Thomas by himself. He probably was in his 20s. I met him when he was in his 40s. He was probably like, a young man. Hey, I'm doing well. I'm doing very, thank you. So he was telling me, he was bragging. So I only came here with $2 in my pocket. Yeah, but he wound up taking my security money of $500. You don't being who you are, who you are, who you are. Yeah, so here I'm a woman, and I didn't get back my security of $500. And it doesn't impress me how some individuals get money because they do the same thing. Well, I should say that landlord did. And I'm not implying that the Patel family, Cash Patel's family, I'm not saying that that they don't pay the bills. I'm not saying that. But that people network and lifestyle does not change because you move halfway around the world. Okay, yeah, I'm going through I just hold my camera like that. You can still hear me. So, so that family in St. Thomas, yeah, he came. He said $2 in his pocket, but he came into a community of Indians, and they hire their own. Okay, he wasn't relying on the black people there in St. Thomas. He's coming there with a network. He's coming into a system. They all keep connected. And he eventually opened up a restaurant. And he did well. And he was a player also. That I didn't respect him. Being a woman in the Caribbean, you get hit on. And it doesn't matter where you're from, a dude is going to be a dude. And I felt my senses, I needed a place to live. Yeah, I had to move around a lot in the West Indies. It was a very unsettling place, physically very beautiful. Come, no, come, Aladdin, come. Yeah, it was very difficult. And the last place I lived was, under that guy from India. Well, he was from, he could have been from Trinidad. I know he told me Trinidad. I get confused between the two countries, Trinidad and Guyana. But heavy Indian population because they were under the British rule, and that's what the Britain does. When India leaves a colony, they always put in a third wheel so that they can argue and fight each other. So the British are out the picture, and they're classic behavior. So, that guy that in St. Thomas, he did well for himself. And I had to bring, he was very flirty. Thank God I brought someone with me. Yeah, he was like flirting with me. And I felt a little scared. Something told me, like I was to come and move in. And I asked a person who I knew, hey, could you come with me? I just, getting a bad feeling, I know. So, yeah, they will try. These dudes, that individual, I should say, that landlord, he gets all washed up, puts on heavy cologne, and we get there with he didn't know I was going to come there with somebody, just to make sure I move in safely. Yeah, I brought a female friend, and he was shocked when he didn't expect anyone to be there with me. Yeah, I was to move by myself, move in by myself. But I just wanted someone to be there when the transaction, my moving day. I didn't trust him. And thank God I did. Yeah. So people are who they are. And now he had a wife. Well, it turns out they weren't married. They lived as husband and wife. She has 2 kids for him. She cooked, clean, all that. And I remember saying, oh, well, your wife. Oh, well, she's not my wife. I'm not married to her. That's, see that? It's sad. Women, be careful who you associate with, who you sleep with. I guess some cultures, they just feel, especially the Caribbean culture, you have a lot of mistresses, and there's a lot of domestic violence also in the Caribbean. Yeah, it's hard. It's hard being a woman living in certain environments. Yeah, the Caribbean was extreme, the extreme behavior against women. They have really no respect for women at all. Yeah, my background's Caribbean, but it doesn't make it less true because I'm from there. My family's from there. But either way, either way. So that landlord that I had of Indian ancestry, Indian Pakistan background, you bring your resources with you, you bring your connections with you. So, yes, he may have had only $2 in his pocket, but he's moving into a system and probably into an Indian community already established in St. Thomas. And they network and they work together, and you build up. They're very savvy in business. Yeah, many merchants in India. Thousands of years, they're probably merchants. They know the system. They know business. Excuse me. So, going back to Patel, Patel, again, is a very well-established family in India. And so, so whether the family is forced out of Uganda or South Africa, you're still bringing you with you. You're bringing your wisdom, your knowledge, your social connections, your ability to make money that you always take with you. You don't stop being who you are because you move. So who is this Patel? This Cash Patel. Now, yes, I think he'll do well in the position. Yeah, I have no doubt about that. But like Kamala, was it Kamala Harris? Thank God she didn't win the White House. But you ask yourself, okay, there was someone doing research on Kamala Harris, the former VP in America, Vice President in America. She too tried to pass off her humble beginnings. She too comes from a ruling class, the social class, the not the I think she was Brahma. I think Brahma class is the top class in India. I hear she's telling you don't stop being who you are, Okay, come on, let's go this way. Come, 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 come on, come on, baby, come on, baby. We're going this way. Hey, nice music. Yeah, so Kamala is saying a similar story. How her mom, her parents did separate. Kamala was born in California to two intellectuals, highly educated. Both have their doctorates. Kamala's mother, now Kamala's parents separated or divorced, and the mom moved to, again, Canada. Canada. So, but I hope. See that? Canada. See that? They got a network. Just like Cash family. They moved to Canada. And then from Canada to America. They could go back and forth. So Kamala was pushing the narrative that, she was, her parents were college students. Yeah, they met in college, her parents. And then they met, there was some conflict because he wasn't from her social group. But turns out both of them are of Indian ancestry. And the culture in India is so tight. You're forbidden to marry out of your class. So even though they were born in different, the parents were born in two different places, but again, you don't stop being who you are. Whether he's born in Jamaica, Jamaica has a lot of Indians. Jamaica also was a colony, so you don't stop being who you are. Same social environment. A system that was colonized by Britain. You had the indigenous or the transported blacks that were brought there in the slavery days, and then they introduced Asians around right after slavery. Slavery ended in the British colonies in the Americas in the 1830s. So sometime in the 1830s on, people from India, South Asia, were brought in, and they're brought in all over the world for Britain. Okay, so Kamala's family, Kamala's mother's side of the family, for whatever reason, she goes to Canada. But again, Indians don't go outside their community. They always have that network. Good boy. Yeah, I have my little boy here. Let me show my little boy. Hey, Lavender. Hi. Hello. Yeah, the weather here is beautiful. So Kamala's family also did very well in Canada. I think a private school in Canada, and they lived in a very affluent neighborhood in Canada. But see, she's quiet. Kamala was always very quiet about her Canada days. She was raised in Canada. Well, I think around the age 10, she might have, according to her, I think her book, her biography, she, she, she said elementary school and through high school, she was in Canada. Okay, that's what she says. So that's pretty much everything, right? But she was a youngster when she moved to Canada with her mom. But she too would say, oh, they were poor, working class. That's what, not poor. She said working class, working. Oh dear mio. People, you're being fooled. You don't talk to me. It's a dog. Sorry, there's a doggy.